Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Lessons for Life live stream. I am Eleni Anastas, your host, and I am most grateful to be joined by my talented co-host, Jim Kunkel. Jim, how are you today?
Happy Labor Day.
It's all good. Well, I wanted to open the show today, first and foremost, to express my gratitude to Jim. Because Jim and I met 2 years ago via LinkedIn. I was a guest on one of his live streams, and he read my book, which I was very grateful for. And I have to be totally honest, this catalyst for the live stream, this idea all came about through Jim. He said, "You want to start doing a series, and let's do a chapter each week from your book." So I'm beyond grateful for his support and co-hosting with him, because Jim, you're terrific. I appreciate your knowledge, your skill, your support, and I'm most grateful also that I get to call you my friend.
Eleni,
So thank you.
Eleni, thank you so much. You are definitely my friend as well, and also a big inspiration for me. And for me, gratitude is just really kind of learning from you, not only how I am inside, but also how to express myself, how to work with others, both personally and professionally, through your book and other topics that you share with everyone. And, the other thing too, I think it's always been something I've been very grateful for is I always call you the one take wonder. Your ability to just stand up in front of a crowd or a camera or a microphone and just go. And it's just amazing to watch you. And I think because of you, let me say that, I know because of you, I'm a much better broadcaster and a communicator. So I have much gratitude, and I'm very grateful to have you as my friend, both professionally and personally as well. Thank you.
Oh, I so appreciate hearing that. And tonight's topic, of course, is gratitude. And for me, it's been pivotal in my life, pivotal in helping me move forward. And one of my favorite quotes that I've ever heard about gratitude was by the talented Michael J. Fox. And now he's been battling Parkinson's for over 3 decades, obviously has serious health issues. And earlier this year, there was an interview that was conducted, and people asked him, "How do you keep going? Like, where's your motivation?" And he literally said, "Gratitude makes optimism sustainable." And to me, that says it all. So, Jim, how would you define gratitude?
Well, really, it's a positive emotion that, it really involves being thankful and appreciative. And it's really associated with, several mental and physical health benefits. I think it really helps you internally and also externally. But, when you experience gratitude, you feel grateful for, something or someone in your life, and you respond with feelings of, kindness, warmth, and other forms of generosity. So it's always a positive thing, and that can't be wrong.
No, that can never be wrong. And for me, without acknowledging the good that already exists in our life, we can't really expect more to come. So acknowledging what is right, what is working, what we do have is the best conduit to attracting more into your life. Because I believe without question that gratitude and resentment cannot occupy the same space, because it's easy to get, caught up in that. I mean, I know personally myself how stuck I felt after the school assault that, was the catalyst for my book. I was focused on what I lost from money, time, relationships, and I was just circling the drain. I thought, I can't move through this. How am I going to progress forward if I'm just focusing on what I don't have or what was lost? And when I was able, and believe me, it wasn't easy, to shift into a gratitude mindset, that helped me to start to learn to grow through what I was going through. So gratitude had a huge impact and still does on my life.
Yeah, a lot of times I think people don't recognize gratitude. And my research really looking into this
Mhm.
topic, I found in the Journal of Frontiers in Psychology,
Mhm.
the way they define it says, in general terms, gratitude stems from the recognition that something good happened to you, accompanied by an appraisal that someone, whether it be another individual or an impersonal source such as nature or divine entity,
Mhm.
was
Mhm.
responsible for it. And I thought that definition really kind of summed it up in a clinical way. But when you kind of break it down, you start to understanding in a more realistic, but also too in an individualized way of how gratitude is important to you, but also to give gratitude and have others accept that gratitude. It's contagious.
Yes, it absolutely is contagious because we all know that energy flows where our attention goes. And would you rather be around someone that is always talking about what they don't have, focused on that lack? When we last met, we did our show on abundance and the huge difference between having that abundance mindset and being stuck in lack, having that limited mindset. And gratitude is key because without gratitude, I don't believe that we can attract the abundance that we seek in our lives, professionally or personally. And when someone is, and again, I was there circling that drain of what I don't have, what I lost, money, relationships, you name it. It's a miserable place to be. And there's no wonder that we're not attracting what we do want into our life because we're only focusing on lack and loss.
Yes, yes. So, Elena, let's talk about what gratitude looks like. And the first thing that really comes to my mind is, in my mind, is that you really kind of take pause and you think about what you have in your life that you're very grateful for. And I think that is important too, because it gives you the opportunity to take a little time out, take a little breath, and to just reflect and absorb the gratitude that you have, but also help it kind of focus you. And so,
Yeah.
just taking time and thinking about it is so important.
I love that you said focus and absorb. Those words really struck a chord with me, a very positive chord with me, because that to me is how it can impact you in the best possible way. And I want to share a brief story from my book. I was coming home on a Saturday, early afternoon, and now I live on a peninsula. And the bridge is the only way to get home, one way on, one way off. And my car was breaking down. It would stall, stop, I'd get it in park, get it started again. This happened multiple times. Now, this was a Saturday, and the bridge that I live off of dead ends into Clearwater Beach. It's one of the busiest beaches in the nation. So the traffic was insane. And every time my car stalled out and I had to put it in park and I got it started again, and I'm starting to freak out, anxious thoughts. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm on the bridge. I don't have any options of any place to go. And then I remembered I need to focus on gratitude. And I just started saying, I'm so grateful that I'm breathing. I'm so grateful that I have eyes that can see. I'm so grateful for all of this traffic because it meant that everyone was going slow. And my car breaking down did not cause an accident and no one rear ended me. And it helped, and I was doing some deep breathing, but saying out loud what I was truly grateful for helped calm me down. And I made it off back onto the peninsula, got to the gas station, and the mechanic said, well, I won't be able to look for it for over an hour. I'm like, no problem. I walked home and I kept going over it. I'm so grateful for my physical body. I'm so grateful, for the love and support of close friends. Because at that moment in time, as God is my witness, even though I had already started my coaching business, I was in a slump, let's say, I'll be honest. I had $11 to my name and 3 cans of beans. Now, I didn't know what was wrong with my car, but something told me it was going to cost more than $11 and 3 cans of beans. But I kept marching around my condo, just kept saying, I'm grateful I can breathe. I'm grateful I can walk. I'm grateful that I have shelter around me. And it wasn't just to rattle off lists. I truly am grateful for those things. Now, the mechanic called, told me what was wrong, said it would be a little over $700 to repair it. I said, yep, go ahead. I had no flipping idea how I was going to pay that bill and get my car out of hock. But I kept focusing on the gratitude. I kept focusing on what I did have. And within 3 days, I signed on 2 new clients who paid in full. So I went from $11 to over $22,000 in less than a week. Literally $11 to over $22,000. And I guarantee I wouldn't have attracted those clients to me if I didn't focus on gratitude and abundance of what already existed in my life.
You're 100% correct on that. What also comes to my mind, a mutual associate that we both have, MJ Calloway. MJ was going through her second bout of return of cancer, and she was on her own, and she was, really trying to, get herself as an entrepreneur up and running, and she had to deal with this situation. And one of the things that she shared with me, and she also has put into her book, as well, related to, being thankful for her health. And what she did was, the cancer could be an end all be all, but the cancer was a symptom of life, and that she had to overcome it. And instead of just saying, oh, woe is me, I've got cancer and I'm not going to survive, or it's going to be hard to survive, she turned that and literally used cancer against itself, and then beat it. And, she's still in remission and everything like that. But, she could have gave up, and she didn't. She fought on and persevered and was successful. Very similar to what you were talking about. If the mindset was, oh, I'm not going to be able to overcome this, you wouldn't have got your clients, and MJ probably wouldn't have been able to become, be successful and to overcome cancer. So we kind of remind ourselves of those stories. Carl Davenport has a really good question here. How would you define the difference between appreciation and gratitude? What do you think, Eleni?
That is a great question. But for me, honestly, that it's all overlap, because I'm great. Like, I'm grateful to work with you, Jim. I'm grateful to know you. That causes the appreciation. So it's almost, which came first. But I wouldn't be able to appreciate you or appreciate things I have in my life if I didn't have a grateful heart. So it's one that leads into another. Jim, what would you say?
Well, I definitely agree with what you just said. And I think to kind of build on that is that, when you do have a nature in part of yourself being giving gratitude is you're recognizing positive things in others. And what happens, it helps you appreciate them. But also, too, I think where appreciation comes from is the gratitude that things that they're giving to you. Maybe it's something you don't currently or doing, or you're lacking. And then you all of a sudden you take those traits on, and that's a form of appreciation. You're like, Carl does, he's really dedicated and working on a certain way, and you kind of adopt that. That's a way of showing appreciation as well.
Yes. Well, and I believe, Carl, first of all, thank you for bringing up that question.
Yeah.
You really can't have one without the other. They're so synonymous, and it's multiple layers. But, I do want to point out, though, that living a life of gratitude does not mean that you should be grateful when something goes wrong, or you should be grateful if you got hurt. Of course not. In fact, I had a business colleague, so several years ago, reach out to me, and she knew my story of the school assault before my book came out. She said, I heard you talking about gratitude on a podcast. So you're grateful that you were assaulted? You're grateful that you were betrayed? You're grateful that you were hurt? No, absolutely not. She said, then how can you still live a life of gratitude after you've been through a trauma or after you've been hurt? I said, I am grateful my resilience grew. Yeah. I am grateful I found the strength to carry on. And above all else, I am so grateful for the lessons learned that have helped me moving forward in life. But please, here's the caveat. Some of those lessons are extremely painful, but they're still valuable. Like I learned things about people I once trusted. It's painful, but it's still a valuable lesson that made a difference in how I conducted myself moving forward. So, yes, I can live a life of gratitude even amidst the trauma and the pain because, like, let's be honest, how else, for me anyway, I couldn't grow through what I was going through if I went back to that circling the drain of this is wrong. I've been hurt. I've been done wrong. I've been betrayed. That's where all my energy goes. I'm not moving forward. And staying stuck was no longer an option.
Here's a very good question here. How do you keep the feeling of gratitude when someone does you wrong?
Yeah, no, that is an excellent question. But it is, again, it's about you in that moment because what they've done or done you wrong, betrayal, hurt, whatever it is, if you believe in your heart and soul that you can move forward, that you have the resilience to pick yourself up by the bootstraps, you be grateful for that resilience. You be grateful for that strength, grateful for your faith if you're a person of faith. Because obviously we cannot control what others do. There's so many external circumstances, especially as demonstrated, 3.5 years ago, beyond our control. But we can still be grateful that we had the courage to rise up. We can be grateful that we had the skills to figure it out. And again, the lessons that I mentioned before, the lessons I learned about some of the people that were in my life at the time of the assault were incredibly painful, but I still found value in them because it was where my energy was then going to be focused moving forward. I hope that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense. For me, I'm a very much a golden rule person. And I realize that I make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes, unless you're a serial offender.
Yeah.
And those people, I once I do identify serial offenders, I avoid them because they really don't have a place. I hate to say that. It sounds pretty negative. They really don't have a place in my heart or in my life. And I hope that they can overcome, the issues and challenges they have.
Mm-hmm.
What I do believe in is that everyone should have an opportunity for redemption. I always like the redemption arcs. And,
yes.
We see those in movies and stories and things like that. So I never shut the door on someone. And there are times, and, give you a situation where I had a friend who is the best way I would describe my friend. He kind of was a heathen. He drank, he did bad things. He was a real bad person. But, inside I knew that he had a lot of capability and ability. And eventually he met the woman of his life, and it's like the Beauty and the Beast story in real life, to see someone transform, to reinvent themselves, to change, but then also to become a better friend. And for me, you gotta give people an opportunity. You got to give them a chance. So for me, I think that's important. And I think that's a good sign of gratitude as well, that you have enough faith in someone to say, listen, I'm willing to give you a second opportunity to do the right thing.
I totally agree with that. But one thing I want to say, because I know you're like-minded where this is concerned, that you can wish someone well because you can lead with love. I absolutely believe in that. But it also doesn't mean that you have to accept them back into your life. You can still have the boundary of it's no longer a close relationship, but you still wish them the best and you still lead with love. And that's something that obviously only you can decide depending on the type of relationship it is and who it was. But always wishing someone the best and always leading with a grateful heart is still possible, even when you've done wrong, because you're also taking care of yourself. And if you need to release that person from your life, you can still lead with gratitude and love because you're wishing them the best.
Perfect. And Carl shares an observation with us, not necessarily a question. I found that after reflection, I have greater recognition of my own gratitude when I see a person that totally lacks gratitude or ungrateful.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. I so appreciate that. I remember years ago working a job that I had where there was an individual in the office who it was always negative. It was always what I don't have. It was always everything goes wrong. And again, energy flows where our attention goes. And apparently I rolled my eyes one day and she said, "Well, what would you know?" She's like, "You're tall, you're thin, like you've had anything to deal with." Like, whoa. We can't make those judgments. And I got very frank with her and rattled off a litany of things that I have dealt with. And I said, but the point is, I've still expressed gratitude to pull myself forward. I'm still breathing. And to me, with gratitude, you have to be all in. Like, I've never liked the phrase relationships are 50-50. To me, it should be 100-100. You're all in, committed to the success. And with gratitude, it's the same thing. Like, is every single day great, good? No, but is there some good in every day? Well, if you're still breathing, yes, there is. And it's okay on some days if you need to start there. I woke up today. I'm grateful. You might feel like shit. You could be miserable, sad, frustrated. But if you woke up, start there.
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. And I think also, too, pay attention to the small things in your life that bring you joy and peace. Even going those small things mean a lot related to gratitude.
Yeah, because if, say, there were 10 things that you had on an agenda for a day, 9 of them went as planned, went perfectly well, 1 didn't work out so great. How many people focus on that 1 that didn't work out so great instead of the 9 that worked out beautifully? Again, gratitude for what does exist, that is right, that has been successful. It doesn't mean you don't deal with what went wrong. Of course, you deal with it, whatever is appropriate, depending on the situation. But focusing solely on the negative and on the lack is not a way that any of us, I think, can really progress in life in a positive direction.
So we talked about what gratitude looks like. Let's talk about how to practice gratitude. And the first thing I would throw out there, and it kind of ties into what we were finishing up our last conversation on, is you want to observe the moment. You want to be in that moment. What are some of the other things related to practicing gratitude that you would offer?
Yeah. Well, I love that you mentioned that moment, because years ago, there was a term called glimmers that was coined in the world of psychology. Now, everyone has heard the word triggers, triggered before. I was triggered by this, or that's a trigger for me. And it's always connected to something that is negative. It could be something that caused you pain or a difficult experience, whether it was emotional, physical, or mental. Trigger always has that negative connotation. So psychologists coined the term glimmer as something else to focus on, even if it's just that one little moment that brings you joy. Could be a smile from a neighbor, could be catching a rainbow. It could be just, wow, I'm feeling the warmth of the sun on my face. So training ourselves to seek out the glimmers and not wait to be triggered is so important.
Perfect. And one thing that I still find valuable, and I learned this in a lot of the sales training I've done and management training, is to journal it. You want to write this down, and it could be written into a notebook that you keep. It could also be put into, if you're doing like a daily blog online where you have for your own personal stuff like that. I keep actually on my iPhone, you have the function app called Notes, and that's where I journal everything. And then I can go back and look at it. And the cool thing is you can search it so that if you had something, go back, look, and then you can reflect on what you had written there in the past. So I think journaling, it's really important.
Yes. And I want to share with that. Yes, I agree with journaling. It can be profound. It can have the best impact, especially you reflect back. There was something good that day. There was something that spoke to my heart. That's so important. But I also want to reinforce that it is important to have that emotional connection, because I know people that have tried to have a gratitude practice in their lives and we're just going through the motions. Okay, I'm breathing, I have a house, I have food, and all those things are important and worthy of being grateful for. But if you're not emotionally connected to it, if you're just making a list because somebody told you have to write down 5 things that you're grateful for, and you just say, all right, let me think of 5 things, it's not nearly as effective. I'd rather you write down 1 or 2 things that you genuinely feel that emotional connection to, that appreciation for. That's going to have a more lasting impact.
Yeah. And the next thing that comes to my mind, and I hear this a lot on different live streams or podcasts, is to savor the moment.
Yes.
And gratitude is something that you do want to savor. It helps you, and it's very much appreciative by others, but also too, I think others like to know what they do has a positive impact on you, and it helps them share that and spread it on to others. Pay it forward.
Oh, absolutely. And everyone wants to feel appreciated, without question, personally, professionally, even in the simplest ways, because it does make a difference. And, none of us know that perhaps what we say, that compliment we give, the time we took just to be kind, could be just what that person needs to hear at that moment. And again, the beautiful thing is it costs us nothing. It costs us nothing. So don't withhold that. Mom would say back in the day, bite your tongue when you were thinking about saying something negative. Think about it first, bite your tongue. But when it's to show appreciation, to express thanks, to demonstrate gratitude, let it flow. Do not bite your tongue, because we all need more of that in our lives.
Yeah. And then the last thing that really kind of comes to my mind is something I had read in a journal, and it was related to a blog, related to, creating gratitude rituals. And that could be taking time to meditate, have that meditation moment, prayer. A lot of people, the power of prayer, or even have some type of a mantra where you express, that thanks for the gratitude.
Yes. And Betsy just shared, you pull that up, that
Yes.
yes, because it does benefit you and others around you. I love that you said that, Betsy. Thank you. Because gratitude is contagious. If you're constantly seen as the one who is finding the positive, and in no way, shape, or form, that doesn't mean, you're a Pollyanna. It's all sweetness and light. You're not acknowledging, what's really going on in the world. It's not that at all. It's where you're choosing to focus to help move forward. Again, energy flows where our attention goes. So thank you for bringing that up, Betsy.
Excellent. Before we do end this broadcast, I want to make mention that this topic and other topics in this series pull from and come from my Reinvented Life, which is still available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. So if you have an opportunity, go online, pick up a copy, and Eleni would appreciate it. I would greatly appreciate it, because it's such an important book that it benefited me and it can benefit you. So get your own copy and take a look at it and learn from it.
Yes. And please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're both always very grateful when people do reach out to us after the fact. asking us questions or making additional comments. If you ever want to have a conversation, you can find me here on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm branded under my own name, EleniAnastas.com, and I always welcome connection. Jim, what's the best way for people to reach out to you?
So for me, the best way is through LinkedIn. Is a very good way to reach out to me, and many of you have done that, and I greatly appreciate that as well, because the feedback we get regarding this series has been very positive, and that makes me feel good. So I appreciate the gratitude you all share with me and with Eleni too. So thank you so much.
Yes. So thank you all for joining us, especially those of you that were just with us live and sharing in the discussion. We really appreciate it. And a future thank you to those of you that will be listening to the replay. Again, don't hesitate to reach out to Jim or myself. We welcome the connection. And I hope that you're able to live a life of gratitude that helps you move forward.
All right, everyone, have a very productive week, and we'll see you next Monday.